Hi all, welcome to my channel. Today I would like to talk about a very important issue on your learning of watercolor, which is to determine what value is your watercolor. Here is a chart which I created earlier. On top of the chart from left to right, you can see the brand and the color I use. On the left, from top to bottom, I wrote down the thickness of the paint, which I use butter, cream, milk, coffee and tea to describe. Let me explain further. First, the butter consistency. You can imagine your paint density is like a butter when you apply on toast. Very sticky and a bit solid and hard to move. The second consistency is cream, which you can imagine is like whipped cream. Not as hard as butter, but won't flow as much as water. The third consistency is milk. Milk is more like a liquid, but it's not transparent. The next is coffee. Coffee is much thinner than milk and slightly transparent. The last one is tea, which is more or less like water and very light in color. The top 5 are the paint with different consistency on dry paper, and the bottom 5 are the same consistency but on a very wet paper. The first color is Prussian Blue from Mijello Mission Gold, and the consistency is butter. You can see I dry my brush off and take the paint directly from the tube. It's very dry and quite difficult to paint. You can see how I struggle. Now, I will wet the bottom half of the paper by adding clear water, then use the same paint on this bracket. The second thickness is cream. More water was added for this consistency. You can see I tilt the pedal to see how the paint moves. Cream is quite sticky as well. Put it on both wet and dry surface like before. More water was added again for the milk thickness, and I will repeat the process like before. The next one is coffee thickness. Coffee will move a bit better and lighter than milk. Last but not least is tea. I will just use a bit of color and a lot of water. I will put all the colors on the description below and speed up the video. The thickness of your paint doesn't have to mimic exactly the same as milk or tea. As long as you can do it consistently every time you mix your color, then you are fine. Okay, all done and dry. Now I will use the color chart to determine what value of each color under different consistency. The value of color is actually in black and white, from 1 darkest to 10 lightest, which is basically white. The way to do it is to put the value of color chart next to the color you want to check. Close your eyes until your vision is blurred. The line between the color and the value will disappear if it is the correct value. You can see I rotate the color chart quite a lot because some of the value is quite close. I will write down each value on the color and continue with the rest. After finding out all your value, let's see how we can make use of all this information. First, we know what is the darkest and lightest value of each color. For burnt sienna of Holbein, the darkest value is 2 and the lightest value is 9. And we also know the value of each color at different consistency. For example, when we use sap green from Holbein, the butter consistency has a value of 2, and with the milk consistency we will get level 5, which is mid-tone. Another very useful tip is we know how many levels a certain color drop when it is painted on a wet surface. For example, a cream yellow ochre, which has a value of 6, will drop to 8 on a wet surface. Let's try another color, cobalt blue coffee, which has a level of 4, and it will drop to 7 when it's on a wet surface. So each color will behave slightly different depending on how much water and paint you use, but more or less you know it will drop 2 levels. Lastly, I suggest you to do a chart like this for all your color. This is very helpful because it helps you see what you get when all your color is dry. Let's say you have a picture you want to paint. You can compare the color and get to a more accurate value. Hope this video helped you getting better at watercolor painting. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and let's start painting and improve together.